Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Back to another episode of Why We're Fans. Today we got a special guest, Eric Crocker. What's going on, Croc? How you feeling today?
Oh man, I'm chilling, man. I'm feeling good. Looking like the 49ers might have a top 10 pick. So it's not the worst thing in the world right now.
Yeah, there becomes a point in the season where your team's either striving for the gold, or as draft fans, you start looking at where those draft picks are.
I think it's just one of those things, man. You kind of have to embrace it. Yep. The writing was kind of on the wall early, when you started seeing just all these rapid, injuries pile up. And it just got to a point where it's like, man, gotta have the glass half full outlook on this and say, hey, if you end up with a top 10 pick and you have all these talented guys coming back, that's not the worst thing in the world.
Exactly.
Yeah. Duran right here, he's a Cowboys fan, so I know he started looking at the draft as soon as Dak went down.
Yep. So we're kind of in the same boat. Both lost our starting quarterbacks, injuries all over. So I started looking at the draft a while ago. So greener pastures ahead.
So what do you think the Cowboys do? I know this is not, solely about
no
the Cowboys
problem.
And whatnot, but what do you think the Cowboys do with, because, with the 49ers, everybody's kind of looking like, okay, this team might take a quarterback. This team might take a quarterback. Cowboys, they're in a unique situation where they actually have a really good quarterback, but he's not under contract after this year, broke his ankle, and now it kind of leaves a void. But do you think the Cowboys would just end up taking the quarterback? Signing Prescott or going the draft route?
I want Dak back, and it's kind of relates right back to the Niners. You guys remember when Jimmy Garoppolo got hurt? You guys ended up getting a real early pick. I want the best defensive player available. Team them up with our offense. Our defense is shit this year. So let's start working on that side of the ball. I think we're able to score points when we need to. So yeah, that's what I'm looking for. I want that number one defensive player. So I think we're around the 5th pick right now. So it might happen. We might get that edge rusher or, secondary piece to put together everything.
Yeah. We'll see what's going on. All right, so let's kick things off, man. So Croc, where did it all start?
Man, very interesting. I mean, not very interesting, but just kind of, I guess, unique. My brother, diehard Dallas Cowboy fan, like diehard. My uncle, who I always looked up to, diehard Dallas Cowboy fan. My dad, actually a Redskin fan, or Washington football team now. But my mom was a 49er fan, and me being a mama's boy, I just remember being 5 or 6 years old. And I asked my mom, Mom, what's your favorite football team? And she said, oh, 49ers. And I was like, okay, I'm a 49er fan. So that's how I became a fan of the 49ers. And obviously I'm a little bit more dedicated to the squad than my mom, but that's how I became a Niner fan.
So it's a family tradition passed on down from your mom. And I always do like to say who's the biggest Niner fan in the family now when I hear that. So it sounds like you've taken over that.
Easily.
There you go. That's always good, man. Yeah, that's kind of how, I am too. I heard my mom, being a Niners fan. So, I had to be a Niners fan as well. So we got that in the same boat.
Same with my mom, the Cowboys fan. The moms take over sometimes and they get what they want with their football teams. How did your mom become a Niners fan? Was it passed down from someone that she knew, or exactly how?
Well, my mom, she's from the Bay Area, so
okay.
She's from, I think she was born in San Francisco, raised in San Jose. So yeah, she's from the Bay, so
okay,
that's how that whole thing happened with her. She was just kind of born into it.
Yep. Is that you live in the Bay Area too?
Nah, and I'm from Stockton. My family is from San Jose. I'm from Stockton. I actually currently reside in Arkansas.
Oh, okay.
So I'm a long ways from home right now, but my family though, they're all from San Jose, East Bay, that whole area, Palo Alto, all that.
All right. Did you get shit for being a Niners fan growing up? I know you had a lot of Cowboys fans around you, and now you're in Arkansas. I know there's a lot of Cowboys fans there.
Yeah, well, I mean, out here, I don't run it. It's weird in Arkansas, at least where I'm at, they're not really big professional team fans. They love their Razorbacks, and out here in the South, college football is their pro football. So I'm pretty sure if you took a poll, there's probably more Cowboy fans or maybe Saints fans than anything.
Mhm.
But most people I run into, they're not really big NFL fans. They're just more fans of the Arkansas Razorbacks. You know, as far as growing up, everybody I'm around being from Stockton, I'd say it's probably 80% 49er fans or 70%. I think that's one thing like people that are from the outside probably don't understand about Northern California or really California in general. The 49ers, because of their runs in the 80s and, you know, all those good teams in the 90s, a majority of people in California are 49er fans. And then obviously there's people that do like the Raiders, but the Raiders have been the team that moved from, you know, LA to Oakland, LA, Oakland, and now Vegas. They've gone back and forth so much that I think they've kind of lost a little bit of. They still have a huge fan base, but as far as in comparison to the 49ers, who have always been in the Bay Area, I don't think it's really close. I think if you took a poll, I'd say 7 out of every 10 people, they'll probably be, you know, 49er fans as opposed to Raider fans. So
yeah, I agree with that.
I didn't really catch any slack or anything for being a 49er fan growing up.
There you go.
Now that you're in Arkansas, do you have any Niner fans that you're able to sit down and watch the games with, or are you the lone wolf out there?
No, I'm definitely the lone wolf, man. I sit in my room. I have a big TV. I'm looking at it right now. My room is like 75 inches. So nice. I sit here and I put the Niner games on. And my wife, you guys can see her behind me. She's a Raider fan. So so that's terrible. But I've tried to convert her. She won't convert. But I just sit here and just watch the games. And we're planning on like building a house out here in the near future. And when we do that, I'm just gonna have me like I'm probably gonna try to get a basement built in and just deck that out, and that just be my little spot where I kind of chill, kick it, drink by myself, and watch some 49er games. Hopefully they're good again.
Yep, there you go.
Yep. Nice.
I always like to know, do you remember your first 49ers jersey or any piece of memorabilia?
Oh, you know, I've never been a big jersey person. I mean, I went through the era where people were wearing jerseys for fashion, but you know, you just wear all kind of random jerseys during that time, right? Like I remember having like a Randy Moss Vikings jersey and just all kind of random jerseys. But let me see. I mean, my first 49er jersey might have been a Kaepernick jersey, to be honest.
Okay. Oh, there you go.
And that was way later in my life, you know. So, and I still wear that. Like if I go to a 49er game, I wear my Kaepernick jersey. There you go. That might be the only 49er jersey I have. It's hard to invest in like current players because guys, you know, they come, they go, they leave, they get traded, you know, they get released. Like I would love to have a Buckner jersey, right? That would have been the one person where I'm like, man, this dude's gonna be a Niner forever. The next thing you know, he's traded. So it's like, I ain't buying no jersey. If anything, I'll get like, you know, I like wearing the Kaepernick one because, you know, there's kind of, you know, some symbolism behind it. I'll wear a throwback jersey, maybe like a Gore, you know, all-time great, maybe a Patrick Willis or, you know, a throwback Dion or right, you know, something like that. But
there you go.
I probably won't buy any new guys, man, because they're here one time and then gone. And it's like, well, what do I have that jersey for? Like my brother, he's a Cowboy fan and he has every Cowboy jersey I feel like you can have. Like he has even like LVE, you know what I'm saying? Like Jalen Smith, like, you know, guys who probably going to be gone in the next year. And it's like, you just wasted your money on that jersey, man. So
yeah, I think we've all learned our lesson with that one before.
Yeah, I definitely feel you on that one, man, because I wasn't a big jersey guy, but the only jersey I do have is actually a Justin Smith jersey. That's the only one I rock.
I think that's a good one, though, because although, you know, obviously he wasn't, you know, drafted into the 49ers or anything like that, he meant a lot to an entire era, you know, over 4 years. Definitely. And I think he was there. I mean, he was there longer than those 4 years. But, I mean, as far as, you know, the impact during that time when the 49ers were good and the change of culture, you know, he was a big part of that. So, definitely, that's a good jersey to have.
Hell yeah.
Last one for me, just about the start and everything. What was your first live game, or have you even been to a Niners game live?
Ooh, I'm sorry. I'm watching the USC versus Oregon, and
Man, it should have been Washington, man.
yeah, just got a pick. So I gotta message that kid. We chat. But sorry about that. What you said the first live game I went to?
Yeah.
So the first live game, and I grew up. I wasn't very fortunate growing up like that. The first live game I went to was actually 2009, maybe 10. 2009, because the 49ers were really bad. They played the Lions at home, and the Lions were really bad. Now the 49ers won. And the thing I remember most about that game was looking at Megatron. And I remember telling my brother, I saw him, he kind of like, they threw a deep ball to him, it was like overthrown. And he kind of like ran by where I was in the end zone. And I was like, the fuck was that? Like, what is that? So I see this big ass dude. I mean, you see his like, he looks 6'7" in person. Like you see his muscles all through his pant legs and stuff. And I mean, just lean, tall, freakish looking. And I remember I text my brother instantly. My brother's 4 years older than me. I text my brother. I said, BJ, Calvin Johnson just ran by me. How are you supposed to guard this dude? And he texted me back, just simple. He said, you're not. And I was like, okay, and that's the one thing I take away from my first experience. Now I've been to several games since then, but 2000, I want to say it was 2009, maybe 2010. It was around right there. Played the Lions at home, 49ers won. Calvin Johnson, that was my big takeaway from that game.
Yeah. Oh shit, man. That was still back at Candlestick.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, Candlestick.
Yeah. Damn, man. Shit. Megatron's definitely one of my favorite players, man, of all time. He was a beast. I wish he played longer, but listening to his interviews on how he had to, wake up and take some painkillers just to walk, man, that's crazy right there.
I know.
Yeah.
Now you see that, and the second thing, I'm not like, I don't smoke weed or anything like that, but there are a lot of guys that wanted to smoke weed for those reasons. And, they banned it and guys ended up getting, suspended from games and stuff like that. But a lot of guys, after their careers are over, end up being like advocates of, marijuana and things, because it helps with a lot of those issues that they're having. And this is coming from somebody, I don't smoke at all.
Yeah.
Never have been a smoker. But I just, hear athletes talk about, the effects of it, and how that was something that you would think would be an alternate solution, as opposed to taking these opioids and these other different pain pills that guys get addicted to,
Yeah.
Shout out to one of mine and G's favorite player coming from Texas, Ricky Williams. He damn near gave up his whole career because of it.
Right.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yep.
Speaking of players, you ready to move on, G?
Yeah. Let's go on. Let's keep
All
going.
right. We want to know your favorite Niner player, but first we want to take a guess at it. I know you've already mentioned Patrick Willis and Frank Gore in there. So, I'm just trying to think of the years that were really, pivotal for you, probably teenage years watching the Niners growing up. I'll go with Frank Gore.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Dion Sanders.
Okay.
As much as I love Dion, he was only there for 1 year. So it's like, I still view him probably more so than others as somebody that was really a 49er. And if there's an all-time 49er legendary team, he has to be on there. But there are a lot of guys that I think would try to keep him off because he was only there for 1 year. I think his impact that year was really big. It's not Frank Gore, even though I definitely appreciate his longevity with the team and how well he played through some sorry times.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But it's actually Terrell Owens. Yeah, Terrell Owens definitely, easily my favorite nine. I don't want to say easily because there's a defensive guy that I really like too. That's probably a little under the radar, I guess you could say. But as far as on the offensive side and really just overall, definitely Terrell Owens, man. Like, dude was an unstoppable force. I thought he was able to win at all levels, whether you throw in the go route to him. I think his run after catch was amazing.
Yep.
And when I'm looking at evaluating players now, you typically don't see guys 6'3", 220 pounds that run after the catch like he did and could just throw guys off him, and then just really outrun an entire defense. Like the things that he was able to do and how I think a lot of that's really overlooked and overshadowed. I don't know why, but people just try to put all these other guys over Terrell Owens, and it's like, nah, man, like maybe it's because it's off the field stuff, but dude was amazing. Like he was amazing. And everywhere he went, he was amazing. Yep. So that was probably my favorite 49er of all time on offense. Yeah, for sure. But overall,
T.O. finally made it to the Hall of Fame. We all know that. It took him a little bit, but he finally got in there. And I know you said about the off the field stuff. When you think about it now, his off the field stuff wasn't even bad, especially when you see videos of players, don't want to name any, but that get in trouble and doing other things. T.O., I think it was mainly just locker room politics stuff.
I have my theory on Terrell Owens, and I've heard him talk about it, but I think this is what his issue was. And I don't know if it's kind of a cop-out, but just if you think about it, it actually makes some sense. His biggest issue that he had, and he said his grandma taught him this, is he doesn't know how to lie. And I think aside from knowing how to lie, I think it was more he didn't really know how to be politically correct. And he would tell you exactly how he felt about something when you asked him the question. And that's tough when you're talking about a team game and the effects that it can have on a locker room. But that was his biggest issue. If you asked him, hey, Terrell Owens, why don't you think you're getting the ball? He's going to tell you exactly why he feels like he's not getting the ball.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not getting the ball because Tony Romo is best friends with Jason Witten. Clearly, when you get me the ball, we are better. I just broke every Dallas Cowboy record that they have, but they're still wanting to throw him the ball and not feed me. They feed me, we win. They don't, and they throw to him, we lose. And he's just being real. But you can't say it. But I think that was his biggest issue, not really knowing how to be politically correct.
Yep. He didn't give the boring media answer that's why I don't listen to a lot of player interviews because, they're coached so well nowadays to just give the boring, typical answer. T.O. wasn't doing that.
Yeah. One of my favorite T.O. stat is that he's the only player to score a touchdown on all 32 teams, man. I think that's an awesome stat.
Amazing.
Oh, yeah. That's awesome.
I know you said he had a favorite defensive player that's under the radar.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, man. The Hawk, man, Deshawn Golson. I love the way Deshawn Golson played. And, he got a lot of, people kind of talk bad about him a little bit because, Deshawn Goldstein, he wasn't a cover guy. He was a liability in coverage. And, they say all these things about him, but I thought Deshawn Goldstein was terrific. I thought, as somebody that's a single high cover or, two high safety sometimes, I thought he was more than good enough in coverage. I thought he was solid. Had a year, 6 interceptions. He was taking the ball away. He was a nice ball hawk. Obviously, he was laying the hammer, right? He was knocking guys out of games and
set the tone.
That might not stand up in today's game, but I just thought with the way that he played, he hit hard. He made guys know he was there. He took the ball away. And I thought, those are the keys to the defenses that the 49ers had during that stretch that really made them so scared. You know what I'm saying? People were scared to play him, whether it was him or Whitner and whatnot. But Goldson, I really liked him. I want to say he was a junior college guy, went to Washington for a couple years, was a mid-round draft pick, had to work his way up. For the first couple years, he wasn't really in the mix, was more of a special teams guy. Finally got a real opportunity around the time Harbaugh came in and, kind of took off from there. And I think they couldn't keep him because I want to say they gave Ahmad Brooks a good amount of money. And it was like, paying, with all this Justice Smith, Bowman, Willis, Brooks, and there was just too much money going around on the secondary. So they let him go. They ended up drafting Eric Reed. But yeah, I was a big Hawk fan, just the way he kind of carried himself, the passion he played with, the intensity, all that. So defensive side of the ball, as far as just kind of his time there, that's probably one of the guys I was just like, man, always watching, always tuned in to what he was doing and how he was flying around.
Nice.
Yeah, I definitely like how you said that he did grow up in the league as a special teams player. I'm pretty sure he came in the league with Bowman, and Bowman was a special team player as well. And those two were always the first two to the ball to the return man,
Yeah.
making that tackle, and just seeing those two become the starters on that defense where it was just so scarce was awesome. Seeing, you got Justin Smith and Alden Smith, and you got Navarro Bowman, Patrick Willis, and you got Hittner, and you got Golson. Just everywhere, all levels, we're laying the hat, and I loved it.
Yeah. If we say football's a team sport, and you usually can't succeed without other guys around you. So for either one, for Goldson or for T.O., if T.O. was Batman, do you know who Robin would be for you? It could be Jerry Rice at the beginning, Jeff Garcia, one of the running backs, Hurst or Gardner. Is there someone that you just think of as being that 1-2 punch with him?
Man, I really liked Hurst.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, man, I remember Hurst and Kevin Barlow both ran for 1,000 yards in the season. That was special. But I would say Gore.
Gore. Got it.
Yeah, that's a good one. I like that. All right. I know we talked about your favorite player. Do you have a favorite coach of the 49ers?
Harbaugh.
Harbaugh.
And obviously, I respect the hell out of Shanahan. I think Shanahan's an amazing coach. And I think if you just told me you have to choose one or the other right now, today, I probably would choose Shanahan. But Harbaugh, man, that was a guy that I feel like I would love to play for. Even though I've heard from people that did play for him say he was kind of weird, but just did kind of weird stuff. But just how he backed his players, how it was all about them. It was all about picking them up, making sure that they had the utmost confidence in themselves. And I feel like the team kind of reflected that during his time there. He was, if you asked him about Colin Kaepernick, he'd tell you Colin Kaepernick was the best quarterback in the world, even if it wasn't, but that probably gave Kaepernick a lot of confidence. I just like the way that he was all about them. And even at times where it maybe hurt his relationship with Jed York, where, and I don't know how true these things are, but the story about they had the ribbon cutting ceremony for the Levi Stadium, and he scheduled a practice, so the players and nobody else could be there. The players and coaches couldn't be at their, it was kind of like a fuck you thing to Jed York.
Yeah.
So just little things he did that it was just for him, it was all about the players. These are my guys. I'm going to war with these guys. If you're not with us, you're against us. Him shaking the coach from the Lions' hand, just slapping his hand and slapping him on the back. Just all that stuff, man. It was wearing cleats on the sideline. I just think he was just dope, man. That was a dope ass coach. So I think out of all the guys, and I mean there were other guys, Seifert, and I remember Seifert being there. I remember Mariucci being there. Don't remember Bill Walsh being the coach there. That's a little too before my time. But yeah, man. As far as just guys where I'm I like this guy, man.
Was it the khakis?
I appreciate people that are have their own little thing, and even if it's something that I wouldn't wear, there's players, they got their own little swags and stuff like that. I'm I wouldn't wear that, but he pulls that off. And that was that was Harbaugh with his khakis and his Walmart khakis and his little pullover. It was just that's his thing. That's his thing. Yeah. And he pulled it off, and you just knew, he's ready to go. Khakis, pull over with football cleats, he about to go run routes.
Yep.
And yeah, he was pretty cool. I liked him a lot.
Yeah, I liked him a lot too, being that he had his beef with Pete Carroll back at his USC days, and then he had it with Jim Schwartz, like you were saying, with the handshake. That was hilarious. Him and his khakis. I'd rather play for a guy in those khakis than Mike Nolan in that Reebok suit that he had on. So
that was, I get what he was trying to do, but I think maybe if he would have won, it would have looked better. But when you're losing and you're like that and you look hella hot on the sideline, nah.
Yeah. Yeah, I liked Harbaugh too. I think Shanahan is taking over. He, in a couple more years, especially if there's more success for the Niners, he'll start taking over as favorite coach for most 49er fans. Yeah. But Jim Harbaugh, we know he's at Michigan now. Have you been following him at all? Do you think he's going to return back to the NFL?
he says he's all in on the NFL. I mean, on Michigan.
Yeah.
But it's like, is Michigan all in on him? You know,
Exactly.
it hasn't been great. And, you know, it hasn't been terrible. I think how kind of people might say it's been, right? Most people just think, oh, Harbaugh, terrible at Michigan. Like, he's done well. But I think as of now, it's kind of gone south a little bit. Definitely having a rough year. Seems like he just can't get the quarterback situation right. And now it's like, dude, there's no excuses. Like, you've been recruiting this team for the last, 5-6 years. Like, these are all your guys that you're bringing in. He's kind of missed on prospects. You're competing with Ohio State up in that area. And then I think even more so than any of that, he's not winning any of the big games.
Exactly.
Right? Has not beat Ohio State, and not just like, oh, you lost to Ohio State. It's like they are kicking your ass. And I think that might make it tough for him because as a, colleges, like I said, here in Arkansas, they don't care about any pro sports. All they care about is the Razorbacks.
Yep.
So when I go to the gym and I'm working out, all I hear about Razorbacks. So what do you think? And they want to win those big games. And Michigan is actually getting recruits. They are a big school. Like, they are, ranked high every year, but they keep getting their ass kicked by Ohio State. And I'm pretty sure, like, the boosters and people, that's one thing about college. Like, it's not like the NFL where when you're the GM, you might hear from the owner and whatnot or whatever. But, head coach, you might hear from the GM. A lot of head coaches have more power anyways. But when you are a head coach of a college football team, the boosters and the alumni, like, they control that thing. And they're the ones asking you questions every week. And, hey, so you guys think you guys beat Ohio State this year? And, all these stupid questions that it's like you probably don't even want to answer. And you have to answer to these people because they're funding a lot of the stuff that's going on with your program. So it's tough, man. Hopefully he can get it back on track because I root for him. But as far as just overall, it's not looking good.
Yeah. I hope to see him back in the NFL. I'm more of an NFL fan than college. And I don't know how he could deal with, endless recruiting that starts over every year and dealing with that stuff. And then, like you mentioned, the boosters, I hope to see him back in the NFL soon.
We had a conspiracy theory on here saying that he'd be back in the league and he's going to bring Andrew Luck out of retirement. What do you think about that?
Man,
that was
Andrew
from the
Luck,
last Niners fan.
Yeah,
I would. Sometimes guys, man, like when they say they done, they their body is telling them that, and I think with Andrew Luck, I think it, like you guys talked about with Calvin Johnson, I think with Andrew Luck, I think it's his body that was telling him, like, dude, your time is over.
Patrick Willis,
a year or two off has given him time to maybe collect his thoughts and say, you know what, I feel really good. Maybe I can give another crack at it, but maybe he's like, oh, I feel really good. And I don't want to be 35, 40 years old, barely able to walk, can't turn my head left or right. And, so maybe, him kind of seeing how good he feels is more incentive to just stay away.
Yep. Yeah. One last shout out to Jim Harbaugh. He was the first one to run this Greg Roman offense type stuff that the Ravens are, of course, running today. He had Kaepernick at quarterback, Gore at running back, and that's kind of like today's Ingram and Lamar Jackson type thing. So it all started there.
I think that offense, it was they're kind of running into the same issues that the 49ers did.
Yeah.
And it's like it doesn't. All right, so I'm out here in Arkansas, Monticello, Arkansas, and when I go to these high school football games, a lot of these teams run some form of like kind of a wing T power type offense, and there's not enough diversity in it. You know what I'm saying? Yep. It's like they it's like, this is what we do well, and we're gonna do this. But then when it doesn't work, they start scrambling to try to find answers. And I've seen that with Greg Roman with the 49ers, where it wasn't the most explosive offense. It was good, it was consistent. They scored enough points, but the defense really was a big factor with that. And
Yep.
now with the Ravens, they kind of caught guys off guard a little bit early on, but now you can kind of see teams adjusting to it. Now they're still going to win games because they are a well-coached team, and you have Lamar Jackson, who's electric, but you can tell sometimes they get into a bind, and it's kind of hard to get out of it because once you take away what they want to do, the offense starts to get a little haywire.
Yeah. It's always that second year.
Yeah.
It works good for the first year, but the second year they come back and they need to adjust a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. So I know we talked about your favorite coach. Do you have a least favorite coach of the 49ers?
Ooh, least favorite. I'd probably say Chip Kelly.
Okay.
That was a miserable time. And that, obviously that's recently. There are guys before, Dennis Erickson, and like you mentioned, Nolan and guys like that. But I think just for like that time, it just felt like the 49ers were just dead, right?
Yeah.
We were just lifeless. I went to a few games that year because my boy Eric Rogers was on the team. So I went to a few games, and it was just like Eric actually, he had originally signed with the Cowboys as an undrafted like rookie free agent. And then I played with him in the Arena League. He ended up going to the CFL, then went to the Niners. But Eric, man, like he would give me tickets. I would go sit in the games. I'm just like, what am I watching? Just a lifeless team. Lifeless. And every game I went to, they lost. It was a tough watch. I watch every game of Kyle Shanahan's first year when the 49ers start 0-9, and I never felt like the team was lifeless. I always felt like they were fighting. Even now, right, with a team that we got 5 wins, looks bad all the time. But you still see them fighting. They don't look lifeless. Cowboys sometimes, what I'm talking about. Like there have been some runs where you guys should look lifeless, right? It's like, what are we doing? There was a lot of that damn near every game with Chip Kelly. And it was like he would win the first game, and he won the first game, and it was like, okay, 28-0, just beat the Rams, and then lost the next 14 games.
Yep.
2-14. And I mean, getting blown out. That was one of the first times where I turned the TV off during the game. Yep. They were playing the Buffalo Bills, and there was a 3rd and 25, and Buffalo just handed the ball off. And the running back ran for the first down. And I was like, I'm not watching these dudes anymore. And I mean, they were like getting their ass whooped. It was just, what is this? What is this? Not 49er football? Because I can take watching like them losing. I can't watch a team that is just so poorly coached. And that's like the only time I've ever turned the games on. So I usually watch all the games. But that game was just, I was so fed up by the fact that they were so poorly coached. And they did not do anything right. And then his demeanor. The only thing I appreciate from Chip Kelly from that year is backing Kaepernick to a certain extent, or at least not putting him down for what Kaepernick was trying to do. And that's even if whether you agree with it or whether you don't, at least just kind of respect what his intentions are. And I thought from that standpoint, Chip Kelly did a good job. Whether Chip liked it or not, I thought he did a good job of not giving in to how people thought he should feel. So I respect him for that. But aside from that, nah, man, like he was trash.
Yeah, it's unanimous so far with Niner fans. It's Chip Kelly's the least favorite. So
are there live fans like in the studio? Like, are they in the chat or something?
No, we did. We've already done an episode with Niners.
Oh, okay.
So you're the second one, and we got the same answer.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you on that one, man. Chip Kelly, man, I was excited. I was like, hey, man, maybe he'll do something with Kaepernick like he did with Mariota in Oregon. And he saw the drawing of the comparisons with Mariota and Kaepernick. But, man, he did nothing, man. It was just trash.
That's it for coaches for me.
Yeah, me too. Let's move. Next question. Let's go. What you got, Duran?
So growing up as a Niners fan, do you remember your first Niners memory? It could be, one of those Hall of Fame players. There's plenty to pick from the Niners, a classic game, a classic play, a Super Bowl, anything like that.
I'd say there are 2 memories that jump out to me the most, right? Like as far as like just these iconic moments. Obviously like the Super Bowl, I remember like watching it, but not really feeling the because I was young. I was probably like 8, 9 years old. So I didn't really feel like how big of a moment that truly was, like as if, if the 49ers won now. But when I really started to feel it, it was when the Packers were always whooping the 49ers ass. And Terrell Owens got the catch too.
Yep.
Ooh. And that was the first time that I felt like, I just felt it in my body, like, oh yeah, like, you know what I'm saying? Like where you really appreciate the magnitude of that moment. After seeing Jerry Rice fumble and it wasn't a fumble, and then Steve Young slipping and, Terrell Owens dropping several passes that game and coming back for the game winner, and just thinking of how good that this young 3rd round receiver could be. That's probably, that's the first memory that I just remember being like so just in love with that moment. And then the second memory that I have that was like really big was when the 49ers were getting their ass kicked by the Giants in the playoffs. And the 49ers with Jeff Garcia came all the way back and ended up winning. It was a crazy ending at the end of that game with the dropped the field goal and guys downfield and passing interference, all this crazy stuff happening. But Terrell Owens put on a show that game, went crazy. 49ers were down like 35 to like 7 or something crazy like that, and just stormed back. And I just remember watching it like the whole time, like, okay, come back. Okay, start sitting up in your seat, like, okay, wow, okay. And at this time, I'm probably like 11 years old or something, but I remember that moment, like, what year was that? Maybe 2000? What year was that?
I'm looking at it right now.
2002, 2003?
Yep.
No, when what? 03?
Yeah, 03. Yeah. You guys ended up winning 38-39, 17 points to 0 in the fourth quarter. So that was the comeback you saw.
Oh, no, it was an amazing game. So, 2003, I was older than I remember. I was a teenager. But, 15 or whatever, however, 16 years old. But, amazing game, man. So those two moments, the catch, too, with Terrell Owens, and finally beating Green Bay, who had just, Brett Favre been kicking our ass. And then that comeback against the Giants, man. And then the next week getting our ass whooped by Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Went on to like play in the Super Bowl or something like that, if I remember.
Yeah, well, I always say with all the good memories, there's also the bad memories. You just mentioned them losing the next game. Do you have a worst Niners fan memory?
Well, I just witnessed the 49ers in the Super Bowl trick off a 10-point lead. Like, so the loss I still haven't watched back that Super Bowl or the Ravens Super Bowl. Have not watched them. That first one hurt, but it was just like watching it. It was just like, man, like it took my 49ers forever to get back to this moment. Yeah. And like, dang, we were getting our ass kicked. They came back, like they fought hard and we ended up losing. Like, that's one thing, But to be up 10 points with 7 minutes left and have the ball and still lose, I don't know if I ever get over that. Like, even if the 49ers win a Super Bowl next year, I'm still gonna think about how should have 2 in the last 3 years. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm still gonna have that feeling like that's a tough one. That one probably hurts more than any loss. I mean, there have been some hard moments. Richard Sherman knocking the ball away in the NFC Championship game. Kyle Williams fumbling 2 punts in the NFC Championship game. There have been some tough moments, but that Chiefs Super Bowl loss, like I still have a bitter taste in my mouth about the Chiefs. Like, I don't like the Chiefs. I don't like anything about them right now, and I don't know how I'm gonna get over that. But it's a real feeling I got right now, and I don't like it.
I second that one. Yeah,
never gonna get over that, especially right now. It's a fresh wound. They're still showing the replays every week when Patrick Mahomes plays and the pregame stuff and things like that.
Yeah.
It was holding for sure.
I can only imagine.
That was tough.
Oh, yeah,
3rd and 15. It was 3rd and 15. Come on, man. Get that one stop. I promise you the game is over.
Mm-hmm.
I promise you the game is over if you get that 1 3rd and 15 stop. Yep. Don't get me started on that game. I'm still clearly hurt.
Oh, definitely, man. That definitely is still an open wound, man. I was holding on Nick Bosa. I'm just gonna say that. Definitely holding.
There you go. All right. Enough of the bad stuff. A little bit on the bad memories. Let's move forward to your future expectations for the 49ers, whether it be, free agency, the draft. Next year, you guys have 2 top 100 picks. You do not have a 3rd rounder, but is there any direction you feel like you guys could go? I also have a list of contracts that are going to end up expiring next year from Trent Williams, Richard Sherman, Solomon Thomas, Jaquiski Tart, Kyle Juszczyk. I'm sure you know a couple more guys, but is there a direction you want to go in that draft?
Yeah, man. I mean, I don't think that you can watch these young quarterbacks and how well a lot of them are playing and, how quickly they are able to transition to the NFL and not think about wanting one of those guys, right? And I watch guys in this class, and there are several guys who I like and think can play very well under Kyle Shanahan. Now, there are going to be a lot of people that say, "Oh, you want a rookie quarterback with the Super Bowl window open?" And it's like, look, I don't care about a Super Bowl window. Can I pair a young, very talented quarterback with my very talented head coach? You're only as good as your quarterback. And right now, the quarterback situation for 49ers is kind of shaky. So get you a young quarterback. And even if you just say, all right, we're going to just cut our losses with Garoppolo, take a $3 million cap hit, which isn't anything, free up $24 million. Now we can put, a long way, I'll probably let go of like D Ford. Now, look like 49ers will roughly have like 60 million in cap space or whatever. Now I can give Trent Williams some good money. I can keep like Kawan Williams. I can keep like even like a reserve edge rusher like Kerry Hyder. I can keep a lot of my pieces around me and maybe even do a little damage in free agency, right? And while doing that, I keep a good team because they're not really missing anything offensively other than Trent Williams, but they can sign him back. Yep. So defensively, keep a couple starters over at Mosley. Those are guys you'll have to bring back. Yeah. And then now in the draft, when I do go get this young rookie quarterback, I put him in a more desirable situation, right? Most of the time when rookie quarterbacks are drafted into situations, it looks a little more like the Jets and Sam Darnold than what a quarterback would be with the 49ers. So you look at Sam Darnold and you're like, oh, he's struggling. He has to progress or he has to get better. And things don't really get better. And people think like that's how bust happen and stuff. But really, guys end up being bust because they're drafted into terrible situations and they get overcome by the feeling of losing and the pressure sinks in and all that. And they develop bad habits. And that's what happens. You draft a guy who has talent and you put him in a good situation, he ends up more like Dak Prescott, as a rookie with the Dallas Cowboys, being able to lean on the run game, just have to make enough plays because he has the talent. He can make some plays with his legs. He can make some plays with his arm. Oh, yeah, I'm just going to turn around, hand the ball to Ezekiel Elliott 25 times a game. We have a nice offensive line. I have a tight end, Jason Witten, and I have some, receivers. I'm Dez Bryant, that year. And, that's the way I would go about it. Mm-hmm. Can I draft a young guy and put him in a more advantageous situation and looking at it like that, and then you end up having your guy for the next however many years, yep. And you have somebody nice to pair with your head coach. Like Kyle Shanahan's a really good coach, but he doesn't really have a full deck of cards that he's playing with right now. So how often are you going to be able to pick top 10? Obviously, it's been like that for the 49ers, but mostly because the quarterback situation. That's been the reason why when the 49ers have picked top 10, the first year they didn't have a quarterback. The second year that they picked, it was because their quarterback got hurt week 3. And then now their quarterback's been hurt. So they're picking that high because they have no quarterback. Go get you one that has a lot of talent, a high upside, put him in a good situation and see what he does from there. So I think overall, that's the one thing that I'm prioritizing this offseason if I'm the 49ers. Go get you one of these guys with a lot of talent and build a good team around him.
Do you have a guy in mind that you'd like to draft, whether it be, I don't think we're going to get Sunshine or Fields, but maybe, Zach Wilson or Trey Lance or, a lot of, I can pass on Kyle Trask. I'd say Mac Jones or maybe even, Desmond Ridder.
Yeah. So the way I'm starting to look at it, and, we're seeing examples of this, is even if somebody's not perfect,
yeah,
draft a guy with the tools. You know what I'm saying? And obviously, it's not always going to work out. You might get a Blaine Gabbert, and Blaine Gabbert might have been better if he was drafted into a more better situation, right? Probably developed a lot of bad habits, losing all those years in Jacksonville. But let me get the guy with the tools and put him with my offensive coordinator and see what he does from that point. So if I'm the 49ers, really the first thing I would do, I'm trading up to pick 3 or pick 4, right? So pick 3 or pick 4 is probably going to be like Cincinnati or Chargers.
Maybe Dallas.
Yeah. Or maybe Dallas, right? I hope they beat us on Sunday, but maybe Dallas.
Yep.
And from that point, you probably have in mind 3 or 4. I know I have 4 quarterbacks who I would be more than happy with drafting. And that's Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, Trey Lance, Zach Wilson. So if you draft up to pick 3 or pick 4, you guarantee yourself that you get somebody that you want. I think a lot of people, they start thinking too much into draft picks and things like that. And it's like, look, dude, for every time you guys have good picks and whatnot, there's a lot of picks that don't amount to anything, right? Like there's so many picks that are like, oh man, like we wasted this pick, or he was a flop, or he wasn't. So why don't you trade some of your picks for something that's really going to matter, and that's getting a quarterback that's going to lead your team. Because when things around your team aren't as good, guess who's going to save your ass? Your quarterback. So build, like I said, through free agency, re-signing guys and stuff like that, give him a good little core to come into for the next few years until he is capable of kind of carrying a team when things aren't as great. So I think realistically looking at it, I think if you ask me who do I want kind of the most, outside of Lawrence and Fields, I think I like Trey Lance, man. I know everybody loves Zach Wilson, and I like him. And there's a lot to like about Zach Wilson. I think he's an easy thrower to football. I think he does a lot of things well. But I think Trey Lance, when I look at him, and I don't want to compare him to like Justin Herbert, but when you kind of look at that skill set and how he's able to make throws on the run, his deep ball, his athleticism, how I feel like his skill set is really easy to kind of game plan around early on, where you can do more quarterback powers, read option type stuff. And really, he's a passer first. He can make throws outside the numbers. There are things that he probably needs to improve on, but I try to look at it like, what things can't he improve on, right? Yeah. It's hard to really improve on just somebody with a naturally big arm, somebody with naturally good, really good athleticism. He makes all the throws. There just might be little things he needs to get better at, maybe consistently reading coverages and things like that. But you can teach that. You can develop that over a couple years if it's somebody that's a hard worker. So I think Trey Lance, man, like I was watching him late last night when I opened up my laptop to start recording with you guys. I have film all 22 up of him that I was watching before I fell asleep. And I've been watching him a lot this offseason. I think he's somebody, I really like what he has, and I think he has a skill set that you can definitely improve on it. You put him in the offense where he can turn around and hand it to, and he's coming from an offense where they did a whole lot of pro style stuff under center. They did do some shotgun stuff as well. But hey, turn around, hand it to Mostert, hand it to Jeff Wilson. Oh, you can throw it to George Kittle. I don't know, top 2-3 tight end in the league. You got Ayuk, you have Debo. I think that would be a great situation for really any young quarterback, but definitely Trey Lance with what I think he'd be able to do in the NFL.
Yeah, if the draft were to start today, the top 4 picks are Jets, Jacksonville, Cincinnati, and Dallas. We know Cincinnati's not going to take a quarterback. So if you did jump up to that 4th spot, you'd have a shot at your top 3 quarterbacks. We know there's a lot of football left to be played too in this season, and that's including this weekend, Dallas versus San Francisco. So there might be some jumping around in those orders. we might fall down to 10. You guys might be able to jump up to 6 or 7. So we'll see where they're at the end of the year.
Definitely, man. This is all we have to look forward to right now when your team isn't very good. And the reason why. I think the biggest thing for 49er fans, any 49er fans out there watching, like, don't get caught up in what it looks like right now. You know who the team is. You know what they're capable of doing. Understand there's just a lot of injuries. And obviously there will be free agents. There's always a lot of roster turnover every year. But I think the most important thing is keeping the core guys together and being able to get a quarterback that'll be good for you for the long haul. Don't think about just next year. Think about what you want to see from your team for the next 10 years. And I think, being able to get a quarterback early on, that definitely can help.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. Way to give the 49ers some hope right there. So another possible loss that we're going to have is Robert Sala leaving. Yeah. So that can give us, I think it's 2 third-round picks. But who do you see as a possible replacement for Robert Sala when he leaves? I mean, that guy's going to get a head coaching job. That guy's way too good.
There are guys out there, Quinn and stuff like that. We'll see what happens with the LA Chargers, because there's definitely probably going to be a lot of turnover there. I've kind of got some intel, and I'm no insider, but I do know some people, and it sounds like their head coach right now, he's definitely about to be out. So, Gus Bradley's still the defensive coordinator there for the Chargers, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, and they have a top 10 defense. So, definitely somebody like him. Touchdown, St. Brown. Definitely a Gus Bradley. I know some people will point to guys that are already on the roster. On the coaching staff, and that could help. D'Amico Ryans, or somebody like that, who I like linebacker guys because they understand all levels of the football field. They understand the, up front, the back end, they understand all that. So definitely like D'Amico Ryans probably be somebody that gets an interview first. But I wouldn't be surprised if somebody like Gus Bradley came in, because that's who Kyle wanted to begin with.
Oh, there you go. Nice. That's something I didn't even know.
Yeah, that was the first guy that he tried to get. Couldn't get Gus Bradley. He wanted that style of defense. So he ended up getting Sala, who was a linebacker coach with Jacksonville.
Yeah, definitely. That's a good note to have too, is that linebacker coaches tend to be good DCs. So
yeah, they understand all levels. They understand exactly how the front works. They understand exactly how the back end works. Like if you ask me, somebody who's a defensive back guy, like I know what the DBs do, I know what the linebackers do, but I don't really understand exactly how linebackers and D-line really work together in the sense of stunts and gaps and things like that. Now, there are guys that know a lot more than me, but I think typically corners don't really understand exactly how that works for the most part. Linebackers, they grew up in it, like D'Amico Ryan, he didn't just start being a linebacker or a linebacker coach. That's been his whole life. So he understands that stuff like the back of his hands and how to get, alignment and all these. That it's not something he has to learn. He knows it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he's definitely got a knack for, help producing these linebackers. Look at, Fred Warner, All-Pro Fred. Look at Trey Greenlaw. Even Aziz is, having a solid year. And then, I think that he has a good eye for good linebacking core.
Yep.
I think that he'll be a good DC.
Yeah.
All right. I think that's it for us. G, you got anything else?
No, I don't got anything else, but, Croc, go ahead and, tell us what you're working on at the moment. Promote yourself a little bit. Let us hear about you. What projects?
So, I think the biggest thing is Crocker Report. If you guys aren't following already, follow at Crocker Report. Tons of, especially like in the next couple weeks, a bunch of draft analysis, breakdowns. We have a podcast that we're starting up. It'll be called the Crocker Report Pod, with myself and some of my writers. That's going to be something that's really fun. Each week we're going to do 2 pods. One will be breaking down guys that you guys have heard about, like top 3 guys and stuff like that. We'll start off with, and then so there's going to be a Tuesday pod and a Thursday pod. The Tuesday pod is going to be more of the top guys. The Thursday pod is going to be more of I don't want to say sleepers, but guys that aren't as big names. And we're just gonna have roundtable discussions and break down guys, their strengths, weaknesses, and how we would play them, what teams we think would be good fits. And I'm pretty sure by the end of draft season we'll get through a lot of guys. So make sure you guys follow the Crocker Report. And then obviously, if you guys are 49er fans, I do the Strike and Goal podcast on the Blue Wire Network with my guy Rob Louder. We put out 3 to 4 episodes a week. We're drilling those things out. So make sure you guys tap in with the Strike and Goal podcast.
You got it, man. And I'll put all the links below. You'll be able to find it in the description. But thanks for sharing all your knowledge, man. I think this is our longest pod yet. You killed it. We'll let you get back to USC versus Oregon. I think we're going to turn on the same thing here. So thanks again, man. Appreciate it.
All right, John, man. Anytime, for real.
You got it. Have a good one.
Man, appreciate it, man. That was good.